they can watch it later. So awesome, Romero, no problem. And you can type questions if you want. So what I like to do here is literally open it up to anything. It could be even something that you're struggling with. So I'll just go in order of who got in here first, and then I do have some questions that were entered in school. So Chance, we'll start with you, man. Do you have any questions pertaining to anything at all?
Uh, Not really. Sorry, my radar's going off. San Antonio. Not really. Kind of like any deep questions that are kind of rooted in anything right now. I feel like more questions will kind of come along as I guess as other people ask questions. They may kind of spark my thought process, but nothing right now.
No worries. Yeah. Again, if it's even if it's you related, there's going to be some nugget for somebody else. So, Michaela, you got anything at all fitness, nutrition, supplement related?
Yeah, so I guess my biggest question is like, am I gonna have negative repercussions from what your guys' experience, like negative repercussions or like negative impacts from getting off of birth control?
Good question. So
Because
oh, sorry. I
I'm
thought you were
kind of
done. Go
worried
ahead.
about,
Continue.
oh, sorry.
No, no, go
That's
ahead.
just
I
what I'm kind
interrupted
of
you.
worried about because I've been on it for so long. I'm kind of like nervous on how it's gonna like, am I gonna blow up or am I gonna regulate like faster than I know it takes a while for it to process out of your, system or whatever, but I just don't want anything bad to happen per se.
Very good question. So for the guys, even though you don't take birth control, this is very pertinent for TRT or any sort of hormone replacement therapy. So long story short, anytime that you introduce external hormones into the system, your body is all about negative feedback loops. What's up, Tevin? What's going on, buddy? We're answering a question right now. Um, so what that means, a negative feedback loop is here's a perfect example. Your body creates testosterone, both men and women. If you get testosterone from outside, your body says, well, I don't need to create it anymore because I'm getting it from outside, and then it shuts down its own production. So in the case of birth control, it's either supplementing with progesterone, estrogen, or both. Okay, so depending on the type of birth control, or a copper IUD is actually just has copper within the reproductive system that kind of hampers the menstrual cycle or that whole ovulation cycle and even producing the egg and having it travel. So that's a little bit of background. So anytime you add exogenous or external hormones, you're going to have some sort of negative feedback. So the second thing you got to keep in mind, it's genetics, it's your health, it's also how long you take something and the dosage. So when those things are combined, that'll dictate how long it takes for you to recover yourself. Okay, so for some people, they can do, a small bout of testosterone replacement therapy or even be on steroids for 10 years, and sometimes they come back right like that. Sometimes they never come back. So in the female side, for the birth control, that's not really the case. Your body's always really producing estrogen and progesterone. You're just kind of supplementing. You're tricking the body to thinking that it's pregnant. And so when you take the progesterone away, start to get your cycle back, it just takes time for your body to produce that. So I've seen anywhere for a couple months to a few months. I would say if after 3 or 4 months you're not having regular cycles, we definitely talk about that. Now, how it relates to actual
Okay.
performance, anytime you're going to have a fluctuation of progesterone, estrogen, or testosterone, you're going to have some differences in what you can normally expect with your performance. But it's really just a sticking with it the more you can stay stress free, sleep well, train well, eat well, it's going to help your body recuperate faster. So, long answer to really say there isn't anything that you could do about it. The best thing that you could do is be as healthy and consistent as possible to get your body back online. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
I know it's kind of crappy, but
Yeah,
it's essentially like somebody if they're just negative about it and they let it keep it down and all that, like it's just going to prolong. That's added stress to the system, which makes it longer to recover.
okay. Yeah,
So I
no
got your
worries.
back.
That was really my biggest thing. Yeah.
You're not someone I worry about. You're not somebody who we're going to worry about at all because we're actually also going into a growth phase for you. So when you start having that influx of nutrition, that drop in activity, right, it's also going to help your system recuperate and do that. So, but we'll keep an eye on those things. It's a very good question. Do you have another one of
Okay.
anything related to that or far from that?
No, not right now.
Good question. Really good question. Leo, hit me, man. You got anything? I know you hit me on the first. Leo, by the way, guys, won the award for the longest first check-in. I think it was like 15 minutes of just Chance was there actually. I think he was there because I was filming it at the show. I was like, man, I gotta I gotta do a whole YouTube video on this. I love it though.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah,
Oh,
and thanks for doing the this call. I think it's super helpful. So my question is, so it's been about a week now, right? I've been on the program, and I used to probably eat anywhere between 3,000 calories to like 3,500 calories. You saw what my nutrition looked like. I thought I ate pretty clean, right? But I have not lost that much weight, which I'm like shocked by, given that my calories are now down to about 1,600 calories a day. The most carbs I've ate probably in like years. I definitely look way more shredded in just a week, which I'm like stoked on. And I'm just curious, like, how am I not losing way more weight
Mhm.
if I'm eating almost half the amount of calories that I was before?
That's a very good question, and I think it goes back to really what I preach. It's the quality of the nutrition, the timing. There's a lot of factors that play a part, right? There's even human error in what we track. So right now, if you think about it, your body's on 100 octane gas right now. Like it is just rich and running on what it needs. Like a lot of, I don't want to say there's filler calories, but again, what you eat and what into your body plays a big, big role. So like for somebody to eat 3,000 calories of clean food is really tough, but you can fill 3,000 calories with whatever. So it's
Yeah.
the simple explanation I can give you, man, is as an elementary level, like elementary school level explanation, calories in, calories out, right? Just so people can get started. But as you get deeper down the totem pole and the rabbit hole, you understand. No problem, Tevin. I appreciate it. You're good. As you get deeper in the nutrition hole, you really see how your body responds to certain food, how your digestion works, it all plays a part. So I anticipate that you're going to need more food. I started you here because I wanted to see what would happen. And I do I do think for growth you are going to need more food, but like for me to just throw it, I also kind of go based off experience and also what other people are like have done in a way. And like 3,000 calories, truthfully, of like good quality nutrition for you is going to be it is a lot. You will get there. But that's ultimately my explanation. There's no one point you figure out one specific thing that really says that, but it's the combination of your meal timing, your training, your recovery, your consistency, what the actual food is, those sorts of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of what I thought, but I was like, man, I'm shocked that I didn't just like get super skinny and like lose all this
Yeah.
weight. If anything, I look way more muscular, which I'm stoked on. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Absolutely, dude. But very good question. And like I said, some things I tell this to a lot of people that start out, some things just not super yeah, Tevin's like, I'm aiming for 5,000. Some things just like they aren't either a crazy scientific blow your mind answer and some aren't a straight answer. So like it's not that I can't figure out why that is. It's just it's multifactorial.
Yeah, I feel like my own bro science is like I'm eating the most
Yes.
quality food I've ever ate. Like I've never had any of the foods, and I love that you like laid it out so easily. I'm like, okay, cool. I just eat the same thing every day, so it's
Yeah.
easy. But
Yeah.
quality over quantity. Got
It's
it.
like business,
Thank you.
bro. You're a businessman, you get it. Like there's the simple mundane things done consistently just keep the body and the business flowing. When you start injecting all this randomness, like you're adding fluff, but it doesn't necessarily mean you get a better product on the other side.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Omar, you got any questions? I'm gonna check the chat. Or Tevin, you have any questions? You can type it in there, or Tevin, you can unmute. He's probably busy. Probably got me muted. Romero, if you have a question, you can go ahead and type it in there. Otherwise, I can go to school and pull a couple questions from there. You guys got anything, Tevin or Romero? Okay. So, I'm gonna go to school. If you guys pop in and want to ask a question, you can. So, one of the questions I got were, what are some common bodybuilding or diet beliefs that initially believed to be true that you're now think are not true or based on your experience? So, kind of tied into you. Your question, Leo, is the whole bulking aspect. I put a video on my YouTube last week really explaining that is Putting on muscle is a very expensive and difficult process. Okay, it does take time. Awesome. I'll talk about your testosterone question here shortly, Romero, once I answer this one. So building muscle, if you think about it, what needs to happen? Okay, you create this signal through your training that says, "Hey, body, you better adapt or change, or you're going to get messed up." Right? So that initiates a chain of required changes. What you need next is the nutrients to supply that change. In addition, you need time for that change to happen. There's some other things involved, but essentially that's what it is. If you're just flooding your body with tons of nutrition, like just bulking, right? Let's say you need 3,000 calories, but you're eating 6,000 because you think more is better. You're bogging down your digestion so much that your body cannot now efficiently allocate those nutrients where they need to go. And that becomes a big, big issue. That's number one. Number two is, without getting super scientific, insulin is the body's response to raised blood sugar. So anytime you eat carbohydrates, and protein and fats can also be broken down into sugar, but anytime you eat carbohydrates, your body releases insulin to uptake that sugar. Because when you eat a carbohydrate, gets break down into sugar, it goes into the blood, and then the blood transports it where it needs to go. When that blood sugar gets very high, it's very dangerous. You can literally go blind, like you can die. So the body releases insulin to tell the cells, "Hey, take this blood sugar out of the blood and put it somewhere." The more that that insulin gets raised and more often, right? So you're eating a lot and eating all the time, it starts to blunt that. The body stops responding to that insulin very well. And so you start to now also have another way that your body doesn't utilize the nutrients well. Last but not least, body fat, again, creates more insulin resistance. So the body doesn't understand that signal. In addition, uh, body fat is where the body holds the most estrogen receptors. So the more body fat you have, Romero, this is a question, a part of your answer. The more body fat you have, the more receptors that you have that estrogen can bind to. And that's going to also create an issue for your testosterone. So that's why the bulking aspect, when asked what is a common belief, I think is very poor because food in itself is not anabolic. If I just eat double the food today, I'm not going to grow more. Absolutely not. That signal needs to be there. That's why training is so important and the recovery is so important. Because if I'm not recovering and allowing that time for recovery, I'm also now not allocating the nutrients where they need to go. So it's this balance, right? And that's why Chance, this goes to another question we talked about the other day about, well, why can't we just train 7 days a week, 6 hours a day, and we have things that limit us, right? Chance and I were talking about the central nervous system and just the nervous system in general. Like when you lift weights, right? There's a signal that goes from your brain to the muscle that says contract. That gets tired. And that takes time once it gets depleted to recover. So that's why it's like we can't work out forever. We can't work out every day. We can't work out at 1,000% because we're humans. At the end of the day, it's a beautiful process that you have to find that balance between getting enough food, getting enough rest, getting training. So a very long-winded answer to explain the myth of bulking. Because if you can get enough nutrition to recover and keep your digestion 100%, that's another key to you, Leo, as to why you're getting much more progress because your digestion is optimized and these foods are processing very well. You just end up getting the same benefit that you would if you just ate, even more benefit than if you just ate into oblivion. The last thing I will also say in that, even if you were to gain a little bit more muscle, right, through this bulking process, guess what happens when you decide to cut down? You have much more body fat that you need to lose. You're going to be dieting longer and you're going to be losing more muscle. So that's why I always say the lean gains, it sucks. It's a hard thing. It's discipline, but that's how you get the quality gains because you also look better while you're getting these gains at the same time. So now I'm going to tie this into this question that Romero asked. I got his blood work done about 7 months ago. Test is at 450. Is there a natural ways to raise testosterone? So this is a very, very big, big loaded question in a good way. There's a lot of things in this small little question. So first off, blood work. It is just a snapshot in time when you get that test done. There are a lot of things that you can pull from blood work to understand like what the body is doing in real time, but understand that it is just a snippet in time of what the body is right when you get the blood drawn. So that test might be 450 that morning, it might be 525 the next morning, and then 375 the morning after, right? So just understanding that it's relative to that range, number one. Number two is when someone says test at 450, that 450 tells me that they looked at their total test. Okay, there's total test and free test. What's the difference? Total test is all the tests that's binded, that's floating around, it's just all the testosterone in the body. Free testosterone is testosterone that's available to bind to muscle tissue to grow, which is going to be a number in the teens to 20s, somewhere in there, right? For a normal individual, some upwards 30, 40, 50, kind of dependent on if you're not natural. So your total test is not indicative of how much muscle you can build or the potential you have to build muscle. Your free testosterone is. Now, if you have higher total tests, are you going to have higher free tests? Generally, right? But there are factors that when testosterone gets very high, the body, like the negative feedback loop that I told you before, is going to do things to bring that down and also bring down the free test. So, general point I'm trying to make here, your total testosterone number doesn't 100% indicate what your effectiveness is going to be in the gym, building muscle, rest, recovery, libido, sex drive, all those sorts of things. But also, 450 is not a horrible number. It is just you need to put it in relation to what is your activity level, what is your sleep like, what is your age, what is your muscle mass, all these sorts of things. I have had plenty of clients make amazing gains at 450, right? It just kind of depends. So that's the answer to the first piece. Are there natural ways to raise testosterone? There are absolutely natural ways. Even if somebody came to me with hormone who wanted to do testosterone replacement therapy or something like that, I would have this conversation with them. How we raise it naturally. Okay. First and foremost, your sleep. You have to sleep. You have to sleep optimally because that's where all the changes are happening. That's when the hormones are being produced. That if you're not sleeping, your cortisol is raising, the stress hormone, which is blunting your testosterone. Just there's a multitude of factors. Sleep is number one. Number two is going to be your body fat. The higher body fat you have, like I mentioned, the estrogen piece, the harder it's going to be for you to raise your natural testosterone. Okay. Your nutrition, right? So, do you generally need to eat so many because testosterone is made from fats and cholesterol, but do you need to eat high fat and high cholesterol in order to produce testosterone? No, I don't eat more fat and cholesterol and produce more testosterone. You're generally going to get enough, especially working with me. You're going to get enough. Other ways to raise testosterone: training, weight training. If you train and you create that signal, your body needs testosterone to be flushed out to the cells to teach them and tell them to build muscle. So there's no way you're going to have higher testosterone if you're not training. Um, Overall stress, okay? Your stress plays an important factor. And I'm touching on a lot of very big things here, but it is important for me to do that. So think about you have a pie, 100%. This is your stress pie. Everybody has 100%. Nobody has more than 100%. Nobody has less. How much stress you allocate to different things is going to determine how much your benefit you're going to get from your body. So if I have this 100% pie and 50% of this pie is work stress, I now have 50% of this pie to deal with relationships, to deal with finance, to deal with body stress from training, right? So let's say I took work stress 50%. Now I'm not sleeping for 25%. You have 25% of your stress load. It's called allostatic load, but stress load to put towards training. The more that you add stress from your training and weight training and fitness and not take away stress from other things, you're blunting your testosterone production because you have so much stress. So those are some really tangible things. No problem, Tevin. We'll talk later. Um, those are some tangible things that you can do to improve your testosterone. It's gonna be sleep, training, nutrition, stress management. Any other questions before I go back to the school piece? There's just a couple more questions. Awesome, Romero. Leo Chancellor, you're welcome to chime in if you have a question. You can just go ahead and ask.
Question on weightlifting.
Yes.
So when I'm lifting, your videos are awesome, by the way, on explaining muscle lift, contraction. It's funny
Thank you.
too. Um, when I'm lifting, like I'm really trying to focus on the form and I'm not trying to be a hero now, of putting a big ass weight. I'm really just focusing on form. I also don't want to get too caught up on, and maybe I'm thinking about this the wrong way, where I'm so focused on form that I'm not trying to put up weight.
Hmm.
What's the right way to think of things where it's like I think I'm pushing myself to get to 12 and it's the 10 to 12 reps, but I'm like I'm pushing myself. I know that I pushed myself, but maybe I could have gone 13, but it's going to be a shit rep. Like that's kind of the thing I think about whenever I'm lifting now.
Good question. I wish I could just tattoo "it depends" on my forehead because it really does depend, but I'll give you some direction, okay? It's a balance like anything, right? So you need good form, but like you said, you can't be a form Nazi and not like actually push weight, right? You want to move the weight in a controlled manner, but not too slow. So what I will say is this, there have been amazing physiques built on both ends of the spectrum. But here's the thing, you won't know which works for you on both ends of the spectrum until you test that. So it's better to just fall on the
Mm,
80% normal bell curve, right? So and what that is this, okay? Your form should be good enough to where that you can control the weight, you can contract the muscles that are supposed to be contracted, and you're not compensating, right? Whether that's a slightly quicker, slightly slower, that's not the big thing. All what form is designed to do and be, and when I explain form, it's number one, are you protecting yourself from injury in the sense of like, are you just very unstable because your form is crap, or are you compensating using other muscles that are not supposed to be the prime muscle in that
mm,
movement? So like think about like a chest press. If I'm bench pressing and at the end I just roll forward, like no, that's not good form. But if my chest is proud, my shoulders are back, right? And I'm able to execute my chest in every rep, whether I go fast or I go slow, like not so much of a big difference. But again, I think the 90% solution is good. You also, not just you, everybody, because we all kind of what's called chase the logbook. We all try to chase the numbers. Like, let me add an extra
yeah.
5 pounds. There, you can actually progress just from making the reps better. There's so many
Mm,
different ways to progress because this
that's a
is
good
what
one.
yeah, what I will say is this, man, and this is what my training coach taught me, and I'll never forget this. Okay, let's say you do 10 sets in a workout, okay, and the quality is subpar, it's crap, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not growing, like I'm not responding, so let me just add more. Let me just add an 11th set. What did you just do? You had 10 sets of crap, now you got 11 sets of crap. Why not, instead of doing 10 sets, why don't you start with the first rep of the first set and make that perfect? Then you add the second rep, then the third rep, then the fourth rep. Then you get to 10 out of the 10 reps and you have a full set. Now you have one full set of good versus 10 sets of crap that you had before. That, in my opinion, yes, obviously one set versus 10 sets, even if it's crap, it's going to be a little different, but I'm not trying to get like super in the weeds. But like, that's how you
Yeah.
should think. You get what I'm saying? Like, quality
Yeah,
first,
that's super
because
helpful.
yeah, so that way when we add, because we're gonna make your workouts harder and add more volume later, we're adding good. Because if I were to just double your sets right now, and I'm not saying it's shit. I'm just saying for the sake of the conversation. Now I just
Yeah.
gave you 2 times as much shit, hampered your recovery. You're just you're compensating more. So now the muscles you're not even trying to work are now getting worked even harder, right? And that's why, like for instance, guys like me who our chest has been a weaker body part. It's not because we're not training it enough. It's not. It's because our execution, our form has not been to the point where the chest takes the brunt of it, and so we're chasing the logbook, pushing more weight, but it's all my delts and triceps. So I had to regress the weight a lot to build
Mm,
the form back up. So once, let's say you're now, Leo, you're a perfect exercise performer, that now every single muscle in that movement that's involved in it is all at an even playing field, then chase numbers. But if there's something that's not like you're working for instance, your chest flies and you're just like shrugging forward and it's all your delts and biceps and the chest is not
yeah.
really doing, then lower it to a weight where you can really activate it there. And last thing I'll say is this. You're in a position right now, especially with the training that I give you, that you're going to respond very well to lower volume. So don't worry about that. I will actually add one more thing on this.
Yeah.
It's I'm throwing a lot of big concepts simply, and it's okay if it gets a little complicated as we record it. You can watch it again. But when you look at the stimulating reps model in science, what that is how many reps it takes to actually build muscle in a set. If you are training to absolute failure, meaning you with perfect form, you cannot do one more rep, 3 to 5 reps before that will stimulate muscle groups. So let's say in this example, we do a set of 10 reps. If
Hey
if
Ian,
rep, yes,
before you keep going, can you?
yeah,
I feel like that would be a good place to kind of insert where mechanical failure versus like technical failure kind of comes into play.
yeah, that's a good piece. So what chances is bringing up here? And again, I get that I'm the kind of guy like I know the concepts, but sometimes I forget the terminology, right? So there's technical failure and mechanical failure. So uh, I might be mixing them up, and Chance, you could correct me. One of them is when the breakdown, like in order for you to continue training in proper form, once that breaks down, I'm guessing that's technical failure. You now have gotten to the point where the rep is not like perfect or ideal. You've now reached technical failure. Your muscles might still be able to do some sort of contraction or work, but you now can't keep that form up. Mechanical failure is going to be when you can no longer utilize that muscle and it's just completely taxed. Um, am
Mm,
I kind of off? Am I off on those chants on how I'm
Yeah,
labeling those?
just labels are backwards. So
Okay.
mechanical
See?
so mechanical failure, you can't move shit at all.
Yes.
Technical failure means like your technical control of that rep is no longer going to allow you to push that specifically with that
Got it.
singular muscle.
Got it. And Leo, for the sake of conversation, you don't even need to remember that. Just kind of think like and see that's where it gets nuanced. People start talking about this type of failure, this type of failure. What I look at failure is like when you can't do any more like good reps. Like just keep it simple, right?
yeah.
But Chance brought up a really good point. That's kind of an advanced topic, which I'm glad he brought up. So what I'm trying to get is if you do a set of 10 repetitions and that 10th rep is your failure, whether it's technical, mechanical, freaking fairy dust failure,
Mechanical.
whatever. Yeah, whatever, dude. Whatever failure you want to call it. By the science, about 3 to 5 reps prior to that is all going to stimulate muscle growth if you're literally giving 100%. So what I usually tell
Mm,
people is even if you keep the same weight and you just improve your execution, you can probably keep the same weight for 2, 3, 4 weeks and still improve. That's why when like for instance chances in prep and I'm like, hey man, you don't need to go to failure, so you're gonna stimulate, he can go to maybe 80% of failure and still have enough stimulation. It actually takes so much less to maintain muscle than it does to grow it. You can literally cut your volume and workout days in half and maintain muscle just fine. The growing is what's hard. So I bring all that full circle to tell you, Leo, focusing on the quality, especially in the beginning, is important because it builds that foundation
yeah.
and it builds that symmetry. And chasing the logbook, while it does have a place, sometimes just not chasing the logbook actually gives you more gains. Because there's sometimes where I'll be in the gym and I'll be like, that might have been an extra rep, but it wasn't perfect. Now I'm like, no, if it's not fucking perfect and I'm not counting it, and if I have to do the same weight for 9 reps for 2, 3 weeks in a row, that's just what I got to do. And maybe I got to look at something
Yeah.
else in my training as to why that's not going up.
That guys, that was nuggets because that's something that I really want to get down in the program is just get the foundation right and not I've always chased the logbook, you know. I think
Hmm.
that's it's been a bad thing and now I'm like, all right, I want to get locked in so that as I scale this up, I'm right. One more question.
Yeah.
This might be a loaded question is s- on the plank video you explained like the scapular retraction, core tight, ass tight too. Is that pretty much for every exercise? Like you're always trying to engage all of that for every single exercise?
Very good question. So, in a way, yes, and I'm going to explain why. Your spine and core stability really sets it in motion. Like, think about it like this. What's an example I can give? Like, imagine a table and I just kicked one of the legs out. You could probably still eat on it, but it's not going to be stable if you're on the side where the legs kicked out. So, it's a perfect example for this. If you're so this is your spine, it's an S curve, right? So your hips at the bottom, your head's at the top. Okay. So your shoulder blades and your mid back muscles are what control like the stability of the upper spine, and then your core controls the lower spine, and you have the lower back, and then your glutes is what keeps the hip in its right place. So like essentially what those three areas are doing are just keeping your body stable so you can exert the most amount of force. Like if you don't have a stable core, strong glutes, whatever, you're not going to be able to create as much leverage and create as much force. So the plank, what happens, especially in that exercise, because the plank to me, if you have a strong plank, you have a strong total core because you have to, like, if your glutes weak, your hip's gonna sag. If your core's weak, your lower back is gonna arch and you're gonna put a lot of tension there. If your shoulder blades are weak, you're gonna shrug and kind of just lay on that, right? But if I can keep the chest up, shoulder blades back, core tight to keep my spine in place, and then tighten my glutes to keep my hip under my spine, that's what you should be doing in a squat. So, do you need to do that necessarily in a seated chest press? No, but I should keep my shoulder blades back and be conscious of my core. My glutes is probably not doing anything. In a bent over row, right? I'm not flexing my glutes, but I should probably keep my core somewhat tight and my shoulder blades back as I row. So, to answer your question, it's the plank for me. If you can do a proper plank and you can build that strength up, you can be very confident that you're going to be able to have enough core strength to execute other exercises correctly. Does that make sense?
Nuggets, nuggets. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Yeah, man. Chance or remember, you guys got anything? I just got two more questions on here from the school, and then we can close it out. But I'm here for another 30 minutes.
I'm good right now, man.
Okay, sweet. Um, So I got asked, what has been a game changer for my bodybuilding career? What do you think has given you the edge? So I'm going to relate this to something that you guys can all take. Truthfully, it's just been the consistency. It's been locking in. It's been doing like I mentioned to Leo earlier about business. It's like doing the same boring mundane things over and over. It's eating at the same times, eating the same foods, getting the same amount of sleep. Like it's boring, right? Everyone's like, what's the new peptide? What's the new fat burner? What's the new steroid? What's the new lift? What's the new exercise? Like, how much in life does that all make sense? Like when someone's trying to make money, they're like, what's the new get rich? What's the new cryptocurrency? What's the new stock, right? But like anyone would tell you if you have time, throw money in like an index or like the S&P. Like sure, you're not going to get, super rich, right? But like it's that compounding interest over time that makes you the money. So for all of you guys, that's why I always preach progress, not perfection, and consistency is number one. Because like you can have not 100% weeks, but you can get as close to it as you can and do that back to back to back over time and get your results maybe a little bit slower, but it's also sustainable. Versus like if you force yourself and stress yourself to be 100% every single week and like everything crumbles around you, it's not sustainable. So the next question that I got, final one from here is well, this is not really anything anyone can learn from, but about my background, how long I've been into bodybuilding, and how many shows, why bodybuilding. So, been bodybuilding since 2017 competitively, 10 shows and bodybuilding because personally, there's no sport. I can't be a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL or a striker for a pro soccer team. So, like, bodybuilding is the one space that I can be
it.
competitive at and still be at the bottom. So golf might be the other thing. I don't know if we got any golfers over here, but golf and bodybuilding I think are also somewhat similar. So with that, does anybody have some last minute questions? Again, I'm in no rush. I don't mind answering this. This will be recorded, so someone will find help. Tevin, I know you just came back on. Does anyone have anything else that I can answer?
Yeah, sure. So, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, because I'm in the gym right now. So when you talk about majoring in the minors, what does that look like for you?
Good question. So let me actually ask a clarifying question. What what do I focus on majoring in the minors, or why do I usually say that to other people? I guess I'm trying to find out the
No,
context.
so what do you focus on for majoring in the minors?
Okay, very good question. I think for instance, travel, random call. I think travel is a good example of this. Like because at home I could be 100%. There's no majoring, there's no minors. Like it's just 100% locked in. When I'm traveling, it becomes hard. So um, I focus on, okay, what do I need to do? I need to accomplish my nutrition, I need to accomplish training, and I need to accomplish sleep. So if I can focus on those, I don't need to necessarily be 100%. The minors to me would be like, I guess in the food aspect, like maybe I need to flex on, a little bit of the food choices that I'm eating because of convenience or what I have, right? So like if I was just nitpicky on like, no, I need to eat the same exact food every day, I wouldn't be successful in travel. So I kind of flex a little bit. When it comes to training, right? I don't necessarily need to be balls to wall breaking every PR or do these crazy exercises when I'm training at another gym that I've never been at. So long as I can pick a few exercises that I'm comfortable with and that I'm used to and push myself enough to have a decent workout, like I might not gain muscle from that session, but I'm definitely not losing it. So that's kind of tough question for me to ask because like I know not to focus on the minors, but what I usually say for people when it comes to minors is like, um, you know, what is the best exercise? What is the hot new supplement? What is the like what if my rest time is 2 minutes and 5 seconds versus 2 minutes? Like it's like just fucking rest, right? Rest what you need, right? It's worrying about the big things. Once you have the big things, once you have your sleep in check, your nutrition, your training, your recovery, your supplementation all in check, and you're consistent with that, then you can focus on those one percenters. Kind of hard to answer that question for me personally. I don't know if that gave you anything, but
No, it definitely did. Just focus on like all priorities first, and majoring in the
Yes.
minor is just kind of like whatever's going to give you that extra edge towards the very end of whatever your goal is when it comes to like completing that
Mhm.
goal or get you a little bit closer as it gets more difficult.
Yes, and actually, a good example for you and anybody, like for instance, you go through prep. Obviously, if you're a not non-natural athlete, you're going to be taking steroids or certain compounds, right? Like perfect example is what happens if your luggage gets fucking lost in wherever or you forget it on travel and your drugs are not there. If you major in the majors, your sleep, nutrition, and training, whatever, the drugs are being gone for a few days. It sucks. It's maybe not optimal, but like if you rely on the drugs, which is the minors, right? The drugs play a part, but like not as much as people think. Um, if you focus on the majors of, hey, drugs are gone, I'll get them in a week, like, but I can still train, I can still eat, I can still sleep optimally and do that, you're going to be more than fine. In fact, you might even look better because you have less stress. So that's an example. Romero says down 12 pounds in 3 weeks, feel like I'm building muscle, feeling great. Yeah. So what I'm gonna bring, he didn't really ask a question, but say that again. The scale, you guys, and I should say this every class, is just a tool. When I sit here in my chair and I look at progress, the scale is the only thing that you can look at day to day to see progress. You can't look at a picture one day to the next unless you're like, chancing a show or like refeeding someone like who's super lean. You can't see a difference. You can't see a difference day to day, even sometimes week to week. Okay. Your clothes are not going to fit different day to day. Your measurements, if you're to measure, aren't going to change. So what is the one thing that we can look at day to day to give us some information of what's going on? It's a scale. But if you live by the scale, you die by the scale. Because you look at the scale and you're like, ah shit, it went down 3 pounds. I wanted to gain weight. And then you're all depressed and shit. And then what happens? The next day it goes up 5 pounds and then blah blah blah. I look at averages. Not only do I look at averages, I need the scale plus something else to make a conclusion. So the scale plus your training numbers, the scale plus your clothes, the scale plus your look. It's never the scale by itself, except for some small details. Like for instance, when Chance is in prep, he's very consistent. All variables are the same. I can look at the scale, and he can even attest to like you can almost predict what's going to happen with the scale. So I wanted to take that. Congratulations, Romero, on that to just kind of put that into perspective. Is the scale does nothing but tell you how much mass is on the scale, doesn't tell you what's in there. So this was an excellent Q&A. I'm going to do another one at 7. You guys are welcome to come in case there's other questions. I really love this, and I'm probably going to do this bi-weekly or at the very least monthly. But you guys all have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Great one, coach. Appreciate it.
Later, guys.